Hello there, everybody. I hope you're having an absolutely fabulous day today. Hey, we are in the middle of July, and here in Northern California, we're having a little bit of a heat wave. And on top of that heat wave, we've got clouds in the sky, giving us some humidity that we just don't quite know what to do with. I totally applaud everybody out there in the rest of the country, the rest of the world, that live with this kind of humidity all the time, because it is hard. Dry heat's way easier than humid heat. And right now, I am sitting here in humid heat around 90 degrees, along with everybody else in the North Bay, Northern California. Now, I know Sacramento's even hotter, so this video is for you. Today, us gardeners, we still can't be kept indoors. Air conditioning is great and all, but we all prefer to be outside. So I'm going to be gardening in the shade. I picked out 5 or 6 of my absolutely favorite shade plants to share with you. I've got ground covers, I've got shade-loving grasses, I've got shade-loving perennials, shade-loving vines, and a shade-loving shrub or two that you're going to want to know about. So if you have a shady bit of your garden, and by shady, I'm talking about shade from the hot afternoon sun from 12:30 or 1 through 4:30 or 5. Those sun's rays will fry your shade-loving plants if it's not protected. So everything I share with you really thrives in that kind of fabulous shady environment, just like we're going to thrive today. This is where we want to be, in the shade today. So follow along, watch this video, and learn what are my favorite picks for gardening in the shade today. All right, I'm going to show you my favorite plants. We're on the way in the shade area here at Cottage, and on purpose I'm going to stay away from ferns because there are so many great ferns, and I do have a few favorites there. There is a fern video I made about 1.5 years ago that you can find, so go back and look there. I am going to walk past this fern. I love Japanese tassel fern, by the way. I just love it, but we're not going to talk about it. But let's go on down this way. Now at Cottage, and I'm sure at your own local garden center, your shade plants are to be found underneath the shade. Obviously, the garden centers are not going to have them out in full sun unless you live somewhere very coastal where it doesn't really care too much. So here's what I wanted to start with. If you're planting up a container for hummingbirds in the shade, fuchsia sunshine. This is the cutest thing. You get a nice container, pop it in, grow this fuchsia sunshine in it. Your hummingbirds are going to be thrilled to bits. But what I want to do is to put together a really nice shade-loving combination, because I've started this whole new area in my garden, got it already prepped, stone wall built, filled with gorgeous soil. I know exactly what I want to put in there, apart from geranium roseanne. So I'm starting with the ground cover. And I'm going to grab a couple of these cuties that I'll tell you all about in just a minute. I'm going to find a perennial that goes perfectly with it. Look at this. Look at this gorgeous Lysimachia, how it goes so beautifully with this. And of course, I can't resist a Brunner Jack Frost. Okay, I have got a fabulous haul here. All of them shade lovers, and all really coordinating so nicely on the cart. I know they're going to look great in my garden. So let me tell you a little bit about them. This right here is a Juga Burgundy Glow. Now I'm starting at the ground level because, I don't know, these colors, I love the sage, the cream, and the pink in the foliage of this particular Ajuga. And the other great thing about Ajuga in general, all Ajugas, is the roots are pretty shallow. So if you've got tree roots or anything pretty close to the surface of your soil, you don't have to dig too big a hole, and your Ajuga is going to take off, make the perfect ground cover in the shade. Now here in Northern California, it does get kind of intense sunlight, July, August, September. So Ajuga definitely prefers being in the shade, but I know in other parts of the country it can do okay with some more sun. I know in Ireland we can grow it in full sun, which is really not what we can do here in Northern California. Okay, look at this. Look how beautifully these guys go together. Let me tell you about this. Now this here is a hardy geranium. It's new to me this year and I absolutely love the way it looks. I love the foliage fragrance. I love the fact that bees love the little flowers. And can you guess what it's related to? It's very closely related to Geranium biacovo, an evergreen geranium that makes a great low-growing, almost constant bloomer in any shady area. This one here is called Intense. And when it's in its full bloom, it is absolutely covered with these gorgeous little, almost hot pink blooms. And I was watching bees on it earlier. Oh, it just made me so happy. Now, Intense can take a little more sun. Doesn't have to be in deep shade or anything like that. And I know exactly where I'm going to put it when I get it at home. So those two, look at this. Can you see how nicely these are going together already? I wanted to come up with a cohesive kind of combination that you can copy if you want, that I'm definitely going to do in my own garden. But just so you can see the pink of the flowers, the pink of the foliage, and I'm just thrilled to bits with this. And Burgundy Glow also has flowers at some point, little blue flowers, which I think is going to go really nicely. All right, another perennial you have got to know about. I told you I'd sneak a few extra in. This here is Beaujolais lysimachia. It's related to creeping Jenny, hardy plant, beautiful long blooms, and the butterflies and honeybees love it. Now, it can take a little sun, but really prefers to be in some afternoon shade. Most of these plants are actually super tolerant of various soil mixes too. I generally talk about a lot of drought tolerant plants, all of whom really want well-draining soil. Excuse me, my allergies are getting to me again. My voice is going. These guys, these shade lovers, a little less picky about soil, which is great. So if you've got some clay soil, you don't need to be so diligent about ensuring excellent drainage. But just look how these look. Isn't that gorgeous? The other cool thing about this lysimachia, it makes great cut flowers. It was very hard to narrow down what's my favorite perennial, but we got the favorite ground cover, two favorite perennials so far. And I do know somewhere in the garden, Brunner or Jack Frost is going to go. This is a wonderful perennial forget-me-not. Love it, but I won't talk too much about it because I'm trying to keep it narrowed down. What I do want to tell you about, though, a favorite evergreen grass, which makes a great punctuation point in the garden. Now, it's evergreen, meaning all winter long, you're going to get these fountains of bright color popping up in your shade garden. This is Carex Feather Falls, and all innocent right here in its 1 gallon pot. At its full glory, it gets up to about 18 inches high, spreads about 3 feet wide. So make sure if you're planting this in a container or in the ground that you give it right-sized container or the space that it needs. Now it does like regular water. All of these pretty much want regular water. Okay, I paused for a drink of water. I'm trying to get my voice back because the allergies are just getting to me. I don't know what it is, but I'm surrounded by billions of flowers, so really anything could be the culprit. Anyway, let's talk about my favorite vine. Now, a couple of weeks back, I told you all about the darkest vine that I absolutely adore, which is Negrijanka. That is my favorite clematis currently. But I wanted to tell you about another one that I'm going to try in my garden right now, and it is Sapphire Indigo. Now, what's different about Sapphire Indigo clematis is that it is a non-climbing variety. So it's a shrubby little ground covering shrubby variety of clematis that has the same super dark flowers that I absolutely adore about Negrichanka, but I'm not going to be growing it up something. Now I know clematis is known as queen of the vines, and this is how I picked this gorgeous plant, but I'm going to be growing it not as a vine, but I do want it to trail over the rock walls that I built. So I have high hopes that this is going to be absolutely spectacular. So there you go with that one. The other thing I'm going to plant in the same bed, because I have a lot of space and I need some height, is my favorite shade-loving shrub for around here, which is the princess flower. This particular variety is called Athens Blue, but like all of the other ones, it's evergreen around here. It wants afternoon shade. It's got fuzzy stems, fuzzy leaves. The buds are, what color are these buds even? Maroon almost. And then they open up to the most gorgeous purple flowers. Now, Athens Blue wants to get to about 6 to 7 feet. I don't want it to get that tall, so I'm planning on giving it a good hard pruning every single year right after it blooms. That's pretty much the general rule of thumb for most flowering shrubs, is to prune them for shaping right after they bloom. Because you really do not want to prune off next year's flowering buds. So yeah, even not in bloom though, I absolutely find this plant fascinating. There is so much texture to it. The leaves are great. I love the veining on the leaves. I love the buds, and there are so many buds. It's going to be amazing in a couple of weeks. The princess flower around here wants to be in the shade for the afternoon. All the morning sun in the world is going to make it really happy and give it extra buds. This one does prefer some well-draining soil. I plan on taking excellent care of this plant. I'm going to be feeding it regularly so I get lots and lots of blooms. And I'm going to plant it in a really perfect spot. There's going to be a loquat tree up and over it, and a hydrangea over there. These guys growing here, there, and everywhere. And it's going to be amazing. I do have other favorite shrubs, but that's for another day. They're all in the hydrangea family, which is right behind me. But I really wanted to focus on what is getting me very excited today. And this whole combination of plants is making me incredibly happy, so I just had to share it with you guys. I found one more plant I really need to talk about. Partly I picked it because the color goes so incredibly well with sapphire indigo, but the other reason I picked it is because the fragrance is unbelievable. This is heliotrope. Some people smell root beer. I'm not smelling root beer, but it is a heavenly, heavenly fragrance. And look at how the colors complement each other, and it's irresistible. So I had to bring heliotrope. This particular variety is called Midnight. Goes perfectly with sapphire indigo. Also looks great with all the other colors I've picked for this particular table. One more thing I wanted to talk about also, because I briefly mentioned her at the beginning, is this adorable fuchsia called Sunshine. I'm really bringing this into my garden for the hummingbirds. However, I do love it myself too. Fuchsias are pretty frost tender, so even though it's going to be in the shade, this tender, gorgeous little beauty, I'm going to put it in a container so that I can put it somewhere extra sheltered for the winter and really keep a very, very close eye on it. Most fuchsias absolutely love containers anyway. Some are perfect for hanging baskets. Now, because Sunshine gets about 2 to 3 feet tall and wide, it's a little shrubbier. So I'm going to pick the perfect container for it, obviously, to let it reach its full potential, bloom like crazy, and make all of my hummingbirds super, super happy. So there you go. I have no idea how many favorites I ended up picking. I did my best to narrow it down, but I am planting up this whole new area, trying to stick to a theme, trying to stick to a color scheme. And I think I did pretty good. So you tell me, what's your favorite shade plants? What do you find yourself going out to the garden on a hot summer day and sitting and admiring? I would love to hear it, because as always, I'm looking for inspiration from everybody out there in the world. So there you go. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got inspired to go on outside to your own garden. Stay cool on these hot summer days. Drink lots of water, lots of ice cubes. Get on outside, find a shady spot, and sit and admire your garden. Other thing you can do, come on into Cottage Gardens. We have tons of shady spots for you to wander around in. There's tables and chairs. You can sit, bring a picnic, whatever you feel like doing. Main thing, get outside, enjoy the beauty of nature that's all around us. If you can't make it to Cottage Gardens, find me on Facebook or Instagram. But most importantly, get outside to your own gardens, enjoy the space you've created, and keep on gardening. All right, people, I'll see you next time. In the meantime, happy gardening. Take care.